Hello everyone, Rebus here, welcoming you to a review for the game Foxus. It recently came out and I was given an early access copy to review. So without further ado, let's get to the review. So Foxus is one of those games that normally I start out with the story and then go into the gameplay next. But I want to start out with the gameplay of Foxus. I was initially drawn into the idea of this game when I saw that you played as a fox, and there was a lot of different wilderness environments and such with the game. I was really excited for the prospect of having a game that was very driven in the fact of similar to Journey, where you were kind of going through landscapes, that kind of stuff. However, Foxus is not that kind of game. You will start out the game creating your custom fox. There's a lot of different variations you can do with this portion. You can have a brown fox, you can have a black fox with red tribal paint through it. So there's a lot of variation with that. Your fox looks looks really good. The environments, when you are actually playing through them and doing running through the fields and stuff, the fields actually part out of the way. You'll actually see little tracks where you run through the grass and that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, the game does not go that way. It takes kind of a weird U-turn, and that is not the main point of Foxus. There is actually some stuff that's going on behind the scene that has you doing attacking, doing collectibles, finding and doing fetch quests. It's kind of an odd amalgamation and not what the initial prospect looks like. Story-wise. Alright, so this is where Foxus really threw me off. When I initially saw Foxus, like I said, I thought it was going to be a spiritual journey. You were going to be playing as this fox, maybe kind of going around with other woodland creatures. I really was expecting something like the game Journey. Very little light talking, just beautiful vistas, and this kind of lower poly count look to it. I really was expecting that. From the initial screenshots, that's what I thought the game was going to be about. Instead, the game is actually about, well, it's still in early access, so a lot of the story isn't completely there. You initially are dropped in this land as this fox, and there's this kind of weird pink bunny creature. I guess a bunny is the best way to describe him. And he wants you to recover some stuff for him. The first thing being a star, and then the next thing being a flower. And it kind of takes this weird turn, and then he's evil. And he teleports away. So you're kind of sitting there going with it currently being in early access, once again, I want to keep putting that out there because there is a lot of room for this game to definitely improve and be a great game. There's just I didn't know my motivations for it. So I went into this place, I got teleported using his teleporting stone, and I ran through a different field with no one really to talk to, interact with, and then I went and was teleported into some village. Oddly enough, you are sent to another fetch quest, and then a random cutscene occurs of you basically eating food. So it's kind of this weird, they're trying to go with a great evil versus you as the fox. Unfortunately, some of the character assets are reused at this point. Like I said, want to reiterate, this is early access. There is a lot of room to improve. You can definitely tell there are some bugs. So the game kind of has a weird, you're teleporting to all these different lands. But what you're doing is very basic. You're just kind of collecting stuff and then going from one task to another. So it's a little bit weird in the story department. The controls of this game are a little odd. They have been improved greatly since I actually first got the game. There has been a couple patches. It used to be that when you would turn, the camera would swing wildly around you. That thankfully has been fixed. So kind of controlling your fox, there are some weird elements to it. When you go to back up, the fox kind of has like a weird backwards trot. It's realistic. It definitely looks realistic. And since this game doesn't, at least so far, have a lot of like quick time events or anything that's like requires you to be speedy and like very accurate, it's not really that big of a deal. The camera is a little bit kind of, it's like at an odd angle. So like you're kind of like getting this weird angle on your character. When you do start, unfortunately, running and trying to run with the fox, once again, the camera kind of gets a little like jaggy and it kind of like will hook weird to like follow you. So the controls kind of come off as a little disorienting, at least to someone like me. Some people might not have this issue, but I know I certainly had this weird issue of it being very jaggy. So overall, the controls still could be a little bit better. So visually, this game is very visually appealing. I actually really do like the visuals of the game. When I was creating my fox at the beginning, I was absolutely blown away. I was like, this game is going to be beautiful. I'm loving creating the fox. Everything about it is awesome. Like, I love the way it looks. I feel actually invested initially just with this like fox character. Like, I had no other reason to be invested in it other than like I created what he looked like. And it was kind of that like uniqueness. The art style is very unique on the fox and on the landscape. Like I said, though, where it kind of has a weird issue is when it comes to like some of the secondary characters. Right now you have like these weird bunny creatures, and when you actually, some of them can be killed, some of them cannot. It's not really told which ones can and can't. They're not really even vicious to you. So I'm not really sure there's any reason to actually attack them. But when you do, they kind of turn into this puff of smoke. But it's like a very two-dimensional smoke. Like an old cartoony smoke on a game that doesn't really seem like it goes with. There's also like other elements such as like strawberries and stuff that you collect, which unfortunately I'm still not entirely sure what those are for. I'm assuming they're a placeholder for something later. But it kind of has like this very out of place like floating strawberry, floating stars. So it kind of is out of place with some of the visuals. Definitely the landscape, definitely the character look amazing. I'm assuming a lot of it right now is kind of placeholder, just to kind of like wet your tongue, get you used to like what the game's gonna kind of be like. But overall, the visuals look amazing. Like I said earlier, when you go through actual grass, it leaves like a little path of like where you walked. So that's beautiful. I love that. So visually, pretty good on the most part. Unfortunately, the sound in this game right now, it's not bad. The music's not bad. The sound effects are pretty good. It's just, like I said, a lot of it is placeholder sound effects. Like when you collect an item, it makes like a ding. That seems kind of like weird to me. But once again, that also goes into I'm not exactly sure what the collectibles are there for. And overall, it's not bad. I'm sure it'll be like better as like time goes on and as it gets through further and further into early access. And once it gets out of early access, I'm sure it'll be really good sound effects. I'm sure like if they definitely go with like the nature orientation of it and have like realistic sounds, I would be 100% happy with it. All right, so my final thoughts on Foxus. I'm having a hard time completely recommending this game. The major issues that I have run into have kind of been game breaking for me. One of the major issues that I ran into, as I was probably close to an hour into the game, I had done some exploring, collected all this stuff. I was past the first town portion. I had gotten like one of the weird cutscenes. I was going on top of a mountain, and I actually kind of zigzagged my way up to a place that I was not supposed to be on. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful, beautiful vista. I wonder if I can remove all the HUD elements and actually use this as my screenshot. I would love to have this. Looks like a great screenshot, looks like a great thumbnail art. This would definitely be amazing for it. So I hit escape, and I was looking for the settings. Couldn't find anything to remove it, so I'm like, you know what, screw it. And I hit continue. And it continued me back at the start of the game. The very first cutscene loaded, and I was at the beginning of the game. So I was confused as to what the heck happened. So I went ahead and I went through some more. I hit escape, and this brings up the pause menu. This doesn't bring, this brings up a menu that says continue new game and exit. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll continue again. And I started back at the beginning. So this was kind of a big bug that kind of ruined my, how far I had gotten. I really was I'm hesitant to play through it again because, a lot of us have stuff in our daily lives, and when you have to pause it or something, if the game's going to restart, that's not really something you want to go through again. So that kind of ruined a lot of it for me. I could not find any sort of save point, and I was because I was trying. I was like, maybe there's a save point I missed. Maybe there's something that I missed somewhere. There are a lot of bugs, and I don't want to knock the developer for this because I know they have mentioned numerous times that there are bugs associated with this game. They have also mentioned numerous times that they are getting bug fixes out. I know initially the game did not have controller support, or the controller support was finicky, and they have taken the time to fix this. It has been fixed, and you can actually play with the game controller, which is nice. That definitely, controller support, you kind of need that nowadays with any game. So that definitely, they're definitely working on the bugs. My main issue, and once again, this is a personal issue, is I think when I initially saw the game, I thought it was going to be in a different direction. I really thought it was... I did not expect the RPG elements. I did not expect the weird kind of cutscenes, that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, I know a little bit of it is bias on my own. I do want to keep track of this game. I want to see how it keeps developing because I believe that it has a lot of potential. There aren't very many games that I can honestly say that I have played that your character, especially being a fox, moves so fluidly and so almost realistically. Unfortunately, there are movement glitches and there are parts where you can get stuck on stuff and jump 20 feet in the air. But I think the thing is it reminds me of oh my gosh, I can't remember the name. Is it Okami with Amaretsu, I believe it was the painting fox wolf. I might be completely off, but it reminds me of that. The characters definitely made me think of that immediately because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm playing kind of that game but more realistic. So I do think it has a lot of potential. I think there's a lot of areas though that they need to tie down. Some of the big stuff is I believe they need to get a stable version of this game out. You cannot put a game out that has, unfortunately, from my perspective, it is very hard to have a game that has bugs and definitely have people stay interested. I know that bug that honestly stops your progress, that needs to be fixed. That definitely 100% needs to be fixed. But I would say definitely keep an eye on this game. I think this game, as it goes on, will definitely be something like great, just for the sheer fact of how unique this game is. It definitely is unique. The art style is really, really nice. And if it keeps developing the same way it's going with that art style, I would play through it just to see the art. Like, you could remove everything with the story, all that, and you could just basically put like a massive world with a frickin' fox in it, and I would probably run around as the fox for a good like 5 hours. Just doing fox stuff. You know, drinking from a stream, that kind of stuff. I would do that because I actually do like that portion of the game. I do enjoy the way the character controls, and I did enjoy like running through stuff and just seeing those trails. It's hard to explain. It's definitely an experience in that aspect. So definitely keep an eye on this. If you did put up I believe it's like $10 to support the game, I would keep an eye on it. It will get better. So I'm not going to give it like this game a hard review score. I'm just going to kind of like, once it gets out of early release, actually come back and check it. But I wanted to kind of give you guys like this heads up. I wanted you guys to definitely see some of the gameplay, definitely see the look of it, and give you some of my initial impressions of it. And if you do want to support the developer, definitely make sure that you follow them and purchase the game if you really like want this to succeed. I definitely know I'm going to try it as it gets more stable. I might actually come back to it with more of a more thorough review, at least once that main bug is fixed. But for now, this has been a review of Foxus. If you did enjoy this kind of content, please let me know. Please leave a sub, please leave a like, and please leave a comment. And this is Rebus saying, until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.